The first thing Dravik noticed was the intense, pointed stare of the creature in the crate. Its pupils were narrow slits and its tail flicked back and forth with unsettling rhythm. The fur on its back bristled like static-charged wires. Dravik, who had treated beasts from gas giants and stitched up plasma burns on crystalline serpents, hesitated. "Are you sure this is the correct specimen?" Dravik asked, his long fingers hovering inches above the latch. Markus Jennings, standing beside the examination table, adjusted his worn cap and gave a tired laugh. "Yup, that's Daisy. 6 years old, domestic short hair, absolute menace." Dravik tilted his head, the subtle glow of his ocular implants flickering. "It possesses no defensive spines, no venom sacs. It is small." Markus leaned closer, tapping the side of the crate lightly. "Watch out for claws, not teeth," he said. "She'll slice you faster than you can blink if you're not careful." Dravik withdrew his hand and re-evaluated Daisy. The creature was compact but coiled with potential energy. He had seen similar tension in some of the more dangerous fauna on egral minor creatures that could leap twice their height and disembowel prey before the prey realized it was under attack. "Very well," Dravik said, reaching for a pair of thick, reinforced gloves. "What ailment afflicts this Daisy?" "She hasn't been eating much," Markus explained, "and she's been limping on her back leg. Thought it might be a sprain or something worse." Dravik nodded and carefully unlatched the crate. As the door swung open, Daisy darted out like a bullet, landing on the examination table with a low growl. Dravik froze. Daisy's yellow eyes locked onto him, and she gave a warning hiss. Markus stepped in quickly, scooping Daisy up with practiced ease. She struggled, an angry ball of fur and claws, but Markus pinned her gently against his chest. "Easy, girl," he murmured. "Nobody's hurting you." Dravik watched, fascinated. "You are immune." "Not quite," Markus said, showing Dravik a faint scar on his forearm. "You just learn fast." Daisy squirmed but settled after a few moments. Markus set her down carefully, keeping one hand lightly on her shoulders. Dravik approached cautiously with a scanner. At first, Daisy tolerated it. But the moment Dravik tried to touch her injured leg, the cat exploded into motion. One paw swiped at Dravik's arm, and even through the reinforced gloves, he felt the sting. He recoiled, more startled than hurt. Markus chuckled. "Told you. Claws." Dravik examined the thin tear in his glove. "This creature is weaponized." "Welcome to Earth, pets," Markus said, grinning. Over the next hour, Dravik attempted several methods to examine Daisy. He tried calming pheromones, a low-frequency hum designed to soothe mammalian brains, even a small containment field. Nothing worked. Daisy shredded through every attempt with a combination of speed, ferocity, and sheer stubbornness. Finally, Markus suggested, "Why don't we just sedate her a little? Nothing heavy. Just enough to take the edge off." Dravik considered it. Sedation carries risks. However, minimal dosage should be acceptable. He prepared a mild sedative specifically tuned for feline biology after running a full compatibility check, of course. Markus held Daisy while Dravik administered the shot. Daisy barely flinched. Within minutes, her movements slowed. Her pupils remained wary, but she allowed Dravik to lift her hind leg gently. He scanned the limb, frowning at the results. "There is a fracture," Dravik said. "Minor, but it must be immobilized." Markus sighed. "How bad?" "Recovery should take 6 to 8 weeks. Dravik reported. "She must minimize movement." Markus looked down at Daisy, who was now purring sluggishly against his arm. "Good luck telling her that." Dravik retrieved a small splint designed for small terrestrial creatures and carefully secured it around Daisy's leg. As he worked, Markus kept a steady hand on Daisy's back, murmuring softly to keep her calm. When it was done, Dravik stepped back. "She will require regular checkups." "No problem," Markus said. "How often?" "Every 10 days, Dravik replied. "I will monitor bone regeneration." Markus nodded. "Appreciate it, document." Dravik cleaned the small scratch Daisy had given him earlier. It was superficial, but he disinfected it thoroughly. Markus watched him with a hint of amusement. "First cat scratch?" Markus asked. "First terrestrial feline scratch," Dravik corrected. "I have been lacerated by worse." Markus laughed. "You ain't lived till a house cat's drawn blood." As Markus prepared to leave, Daisy cradled carefully in his arms. Another human entered the clinic. She was tall, with a mop of unruly brown hair and a freckled nose. She wore a battered jacket and an exasperated expression. "Markus, you left your comm unit at the station again," she said, tossing the device to him. Markus caught it one-handed. "Thanks, Mindy." Mindy O'Hara glanced at Daisy. "What's wrong with the monster?" "Fractured leg," Markus said. Mindy peered at Dravik. "You the new vet?" "I am Dravik," he said. She grinned. "Good luck. Earth pets are tougher than they look." Markus shifted Daisy in his arms. "Tougher and meaner." Mindy laughed and shook her head. "You need a ride home?" "I got the truck out front." Markus hesitated. "Yeah, actually that'd be great." As they left, Dravik watched thoughtfully. The humans had a roughness to them, a resilience that was not immediately obvious. They handled small, dangerous creatures with casual skill, bore injuries without complaint, and laughed through it all. He glanced down at the scratch on his glove again, then turned back to the next patient waiting in the lobby, a small, trembling dog with 3 heads. Compared to Daisy, it would be a relief. Later that evening, Markus sat in his small apartment, Daisy curled up beside him, her leg carefully bandaged. Mindy had dropped him off and made sure he got inside without trouble. Markus rubbed Daisy's ears gently. She purred, the sound deep and comforting. "You're a menace," he muttered affectionately. The comm unit buzzed. He picked it up, expecting a message from Mindy, but it was Dravik. "Markus Jennings," Dravik said. "I must inquire. How does one survive prolonged cohabitation with such dangerous companions?" Markus chuckled. "You get used to it. Or you learn fast." Dravik was silent for a moment. "I would like to study this further." "Come by any time," Markus said. "Bring gloves." Dravik ended the call, and Markus leaned back, listening to Daisy's soft breathing. His arm ached a little from holding her so long, but he didn't mind. Outside, the city lights flickered under a purple evening sky. High above, ships passed silently between the stars, but down here, it was just a man and his cat, facing the universe one day at a time. The next morning, Dravik arrived early at the clinic, meticulously organizing his instruments. He had barely finished calibrating the dermal regenerator when the door hissed open and a tall, thin alien with skin like molten copper stepped inside, holding a carrier box awkwardly at arm's length. "Greetings," the newcomer said, voice clicking with mechanical undertones. "I require assistance." "Urgently." Dravik gestured to the examination platform. "Place it there." The carrier thudded onto the surface with a hollow bang. Inside, a small, sharp-eyed creature paced in endless circles, its wiry body tense, its ears pinned flat. It resembled a ferret crossed with a squid, its tentacles twitching in agitation. "I apprehended this organism near Sector 51, the copper-skinned alien explained. It infiltrated my domicile and devoured 3 of my environmental regulators." Dravik studied the creature. "It is injured?" "Possibly. It emits distress sounds intermittently." Dravik activated a low field over the examination platform to keep the creature contained without causing it discomfort. He adjusted the setting to match terrestrial atmospheric pressure. The creature immediately relaxed, its tentacles drooping. As Dravik prepared his scanner, the door slid open again. Markus Jennings entered, his cap pushed back on his head, carrying a battered duffel bag and looking less rested than the night before. "You're busy," Markus said, noting the copper-skinned alien. "I am always busy," Dravik replied without looking up. "What brings you here?" Markus set down the bag with a grunt. "Brought Daisy's favorite blanket. Figured if she's got to come in for checkups, might as well make it less terrifying." "You believe an object imbued with familiar olfactory signatures will reduce stress responses?" Markus shrugged. "Worked for my little brother when he broke his arm." The copper-skinned alien watched the exchange with mild confusion, its mandibles flexing. "Is this mammal your subordinate?" it asked Dravik. Markus barked a laugh. "Nope, just a frequent flyer." Dravik finished scanning the ferret-squid hybrid. Minor lacerations. Some internal bruising. Nothing life-threatening. The copper-skinned alien exhaled in relief, a sound like escaping steam. What is required? Antiseptic application. Light bandaging. Release after observation period of 24 hours, Dravik said. The alien bowed awkwardly. I shall remit compensation. As it left, Markus wandered over to the examination platform, peering at the creature. Looks like something that would chew through a steel door just for fun. It consumed environmental regulators, Dravik confirmed. Highly caloric materials. Markus gave a low whistle. Earth's got termites. This looks worse. Dravik adjusted a nutrient dispenser for the creature. Containment protocols will be updated. Markus pulled a crumpled paper from his back pocket and flattened it on the counter. A checklist, messy handwriting covering half the page. What's that? Dravik asked. Prep list, Markus said. Mindy's organizing a community fair. First one since the new trade agreements went through. Thought you might want a booth. Dravik paused. For what purpose? Health screenings, pet checkups, maybe some educational demos, Markus said. Aliens love seeing how humans deal with animals. I am not human, Dravik pointed out. Exactly why it'll be interesting, Markus said. You're the only vet in 20 kilometers who can treat both Earth pets and off-world species. Dravik considered it, tapping one clawed finger against the counter. I would require assistance. Markus grinned. Already volunteered. Hours later, after tending to a three-eyed amphibian suffering from dehydration and a gelatinous being with mild surface abrasions, Dravik finally sat down to review the fair proposal properly. Markus lounged across from him, Daisy snoozing in a makeshift bed lined with her blanket. You will be responsible for transportation logistics, Dravik said. Markus nodded. Got access to Mindy's truck. You will also manage crowd control. Markus snorted. You think a bunch of toddlers and retirees are gonna riot? Unpredictability is a constant, Dravik said, especially among human juveniles. Markus mock saluted. Noted. 2 days later, the clinic temporarily closed as they packed up supplies. Dravik meticulously boxed scanners, dermal regenerators, and a portable stasis unit. Markus contributed an old fold-out table, several battered chairs, and a lopsided canopy Mindy had found in her garage. The fairgrounds were a sprawling lot near the central plaza, marked by colorful banners and a chaotic mix of stalls. Vendors sold everything from deep-fried protein spirals to homemade gravity stabilizers. Music blared from hidden speakers, a strange, catchy beat that merged ancient Earth pop with alien tonal scales. Dravik and Markus set up their booth between a face-painting station run by a tentacled artist and a snack stand operated by a trio of cheerful reptilian merchants. You sure about this location? Markus asked, eyeing the growing line of sticky-fingered children at the face-painting tent. It offers optimal foot traffic, Dravik said. Visibility is paramount. As they finished arranging the examination table, a small crowd gathered. Some humans, but mostly aliens curious about the Universal Veterinary Services banner Markus had painted in big, uneven letters. First came a family of squat, moss-covered beings, presenting a pet that resembled a walking bundle of vines. Dravik diagnosed mild nutrient deficiency and recommended a mineral supplement easily found in local soil. Then a young human woman approached, cradling a wriggling puppy with ears too large for its head. She keeps sneezing, the woman said anxiously. Dravik scanned the puppy. Minor respiratory irritation. Environmental allergy. Markus handed the woman a pamphlet outlining common allergens and safe cleaning methods, while Dravik recommended a hypoallergenic bedding material. As the afternoon wore on, the line never seemed to shrink. A blue-scaled merchant brought in a hoverfish with a cracked fin. A trio of crystalline beings sought advice for their pet gas cloud, which kept escaping containment. By mid-evening, Dravik's hands were steady, but his movements were slower. Markus noticed and tossed him a bottle of electrolyte solution. Hydration, Markus said. Dravik caught the bottle easily. I am not dehydrated. Just drink it, Markus said. Or you'll keel over and scare the kids. Dravik took a measured sip. The solution was overly sweet but functional. As night fell, the fairground lights flickered on, bathing everything in soft, colorful hues. Daisy, secure in a small carrier under the table, stirred and gave a sleepy meow. Several passing aliens stopped to coo at her. You should charge for pictures, Markus joked. I do not condone commercial exploitation of patients, Dravik said. She's not working, Markus pointed out. She's just being adorable. Before Dravik could reply, an urgent commotion erupted near the center of the fair. A hoverboard had malfunctioned, sending a pair of teenage humans crashing through a food stall. One boy limped toward their booth, blood streaming from a gash on his shin. Doc, he yelled. Help! Dravik moved instantly, guiding the boy onto the examination table. Markus grabbed a first aid kit, snapping it open with one hand. Laceration approximately 8 centimeters, Dravik said, already cleaning the wound. No arterial breach, Markus added, handing over sterile bandages. The boy winced but stayed still. Dravik applied a quick seal patch and a regenerant spray. Within minutes, the bleeding stopped and new skin started forming. You're good as new, Markus said. Next time, maybe wear knee pads. The boy laughed shakily and rejoined his friends, who were already dusting themselves off and inspecting their wrecked hoverboard. As calm returned, Dravik leaned back slightly, observing the swirling crowd. Music, laughter, and the smell of fried food filled the air. You know, Markus said, you're pretty good at this. I am proficient, Dravik acknowledged. Markus grinned. Nah, you're better than that. You actually care. Dravik didn't respond immediately. He watched a small child offer a sticky, half-eaten confection to a towering insectoid merchant who accepted it solemnly. Adaptation is survival, Dravik said at last. But empathy is strength. Markus raised his bottle in a mock toast. I'll drink to that. Above them, the stars blinked faintly in the darkening sky, and for a brief moment, the galaxy felt a little smaller, a little kinder. By the time midday heat settled over the fairgrounds, the vet booth had thinned to a few lingering visitors. Dravik wiped down the examination surface with a practiced efficiency while Markus lounged in one of the folding chairs, Daisy now half hanging out of her carrier, lazily batting at a stray string. A trio of horned, slate-skinned aliens approached, each holding a different creature. One cradled a feathery sphere that sneezed sparks every few seconds, another carried a long, eel-like being wrapped in a cloth, and the third guided a squat, 6-legged mammal on a thin leash. The smallest of the trio, whose horns curled tight against their skull, stepped forward, speaking in halting but clear English. We seek evaluation. First-time attendance to atmosphere fairs. Markus leaned forward. First time bringing pets out in public? The alien nodded enthusiastically, sparks from the feathery sphere briefly lighting their face. Dravik gestured to the table. One at a time. Begin with the volatile organism. The feathery sphere was placed carefully down. It let out a high-pitched trill and sneezed another shower of tiny embers. Dravik examined it with a handheld scanner, frowning. Thermal glands overstimulated, he said. Likely from environmental overexposure. Markus whistled low. Too hot down here for a fur ball that shoots fire, huh? Incorrect terminology, Dravik replied, adjusting a cooling band around the creature. But accurate assessment. The sphere deflated slightly as its body cooled, letting out a grateful coo. The eel-like creature came next, shivering under its cloth. Dravik pulled the fabric back gently, revealing translucent scales that pulsed faintly. Dehydration, Dravik diagnosed. Ambient humidity insufficient. Markus grabbed a misting bottle from under the table, spraying a fine vapor over the creature. It immediately relaxed, curling into a loose coil. And the last one? Markus asked, watching the 6-legged mammal nose curiously at a dropped snack on the ground. Dravik crouched, examining its joints and eyes. Minor fatigue. No immediate medical concerns. The tallest of the trio, whose horns formed an impressive arc over their head, bowed deeply. Gratitude. We offer trade token. They pressed a small, shimmering disc into Dravik's hand before leading their calmer pets away. The disc vibrated faintly, storing enough energy to power the clinic's backup systems for a month. Markus gave a low chuckle. Not a bad haul. Dravik pocketed the disc carefully. Compensation is secondary to patient welfare. Sure it is, Markus said, tossing a piece of dried meat to Daisy, who caught it mid-air without moving more than one paw. A few hours later, the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the fair. The crowd shifted, more locals arriving as off-world visitors trickled out. Dravik packed away the more sensitive equipment, leaving only basic supplies out. Mindy arrived, carrying 2 large insulated containers. She was coated in dust, and her boots looked like they had soaked up half the field's loose dirt. "Food delivery," she announced, setting the containers down with a heavy thud. Markus popped one open, revealing a stack of wraps stuffed with grilled vegetables and something that smelled suspiciously like tangy meat substitute. "Bless you," Markus said, grabbing one immediately. Mindy handed Dravik a smaller, meticulously wrapped parcel. "Low sodium, high protein. Figured you wouldn't trust fairground food." Dravik unwrapped it with cautious fingers, inspecting the contents. "This is acceptable." Mindy sat on the ground, stretching her legs out in front of her. "You guys been busy?" "Significant patient turnover," Dravik said between bites. "Minor injuries, environmental stress reactions, standard mismanagement." Mindy grinned. "Sounds about right. Wait till winter festivals. Half the town ends up needing stitches or tetanus boosters." Markus laughed around a mouthful of food. "And that's just the adults." As they ate, an older human man approached, leading a creature resembling a heavily feathered tortoise. He wore a battered sun hat and carried a large jug of something murky under one arm. "Vet services?" he asked. Dravik rose immediately. "Affirmative." "My old girl's been coughing something awful," the man said, patting the tortoise's shell with a leathery hand. "Name's Matilda. Had her near 20 years. Dravik guided the tortoise up onto the examination platform with Markus's help. The creature made a low, rattling sound deep in its throat. "Respiratory examination required," Dravik said. "Possible fungal inhalation." He retrieved a portable endoscope, gently inserting it into Matilda's gaping mouth. Markus watched the monitor as Dravik navigated. "See those patches?" Markus said, pointing. "That doesn't look right." "Correct," Dravik confirmed. "Localized infection. Treatable." He prepared a nebulizer, filling it with an antifungal mist specifically calibrated for terrestrial hybrid species. Markus rigged a loose-fitting mask over Matilda's broad face, and the tortoise inhaled the treatment with slow, steady breaths. The old man watched anxiously. "She gonna be all right?" "Full recovery expected," Dravik said. "Continue treatments daily for 7 days. Monitor for persistent discharge or reduced mobility." The man looked close to tears. "She's all I got left, you know? Wife passed last spring. Kids moved off-world." Markus clapped him gently on the shoulder. "She's tough. Like you." The man smiled weakly, gathering Matilda back into her harness. "Thank you. Both of you." After he left, Mindy exhaled loudly. "Stuff like that. It gets you." Dravik packed away the nebulizer. Emotional bonds between humans and companion species are profound. Markus leaned back in his chair. "Makes all the difference, doesn't it?" The fair wound down as twilight deepened. Vendors packed up, colorful lights dimmed, and the exhausted crowd thinned to a handful of late stragglers. Markus and Dravik dismantled the booth, folding chairs and stowing equipment with the quiet efficiency of shared fatigue. Daisy, now fully alert, prowled the perimeter of the booth, tail flicking as she inspected every crate and corner. "She's inspecting your work," Mindy said, grinning as she tied down the canopy for transport. "Quality assurance," Markus added. Dravik crouched to Daisy's level. "You are a formidable supervisor." Daisy blinked slowly, then turned and padded back to her carrier, clearly satisfied. By the time they finished loading everything into Mindy's truck, the fairground was nearly empty. The three of them stood for a moment, looking out over the field littered with discarded wrappers and the last glowing remnants of vendor stalls. Not bad for a first outing, Markus said. Exceeding projected patient intake by 37%, Dravik noted. Mindy stretched, yawning. Could have been worse. No fires. No brawls. Only minor hoverboard casualties. They climbed into the truck, Daisy asleep in Markus's lap before they even pulled onto the main road. Dravik watched the passing fields through the window, the sky a deep indigo streaked with stars. Will you continue participation in such events? He asked after a while. Markus shrugged. Depends. You offering overtime. Compensation is negotiable. Mindy laughed from behind the wheel. You two are hopeless. As they turned onto the road leading back into town, Dravik allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. Amidst the chaos, the noise, the unpredictable variables, there was a strange, undeniable order to it all, an ecosystem where resilience, kindness, and absurdity thrived side by side. It was, he decided, an environment worth adapting to. And perhaps, just perhaps, worth calling home.